What's going on, YouTube? This is Reaper, and I am back with another video. Alright, well, I just want to say thank you, everybody who watched my recent upload on how Xbox killed Game Pass, and thank you so much for the comment, my man. I appreciate you. Shout out to you. And today we are going to talk about the the casual slash noob mentality of the gamers that think the price cut is going to be a positive, and the fact that Call of Duty is going to be a positive being removed. Oh, I disagree. I so disagree because unfortunately, Game Pass has not had a lot of game value in its actual even lifespan, which is kind of too bad, but I guess you can blame Phil Spencer for that, and I guess you can blame, Satya Nadella for that and stuff like that. But the main message that I want to get across is, any company, I don't care if you work for a fast food joint, I don't care if you work for businesses and stuff like that. I don't care if you work for the state. I don't care if you work anywhere in the world. I really don't care. But the thing is that once you put a female with low actual education of the field they are trying to lead, you get absolutely screwed. So this is going to be my message to Microsoft. Congratulations, everybody. You hired an actual female incompetent leader that basically chose to wipe all valid actual value from the service. I think that is massively funny. The other thing that I was going to bring up in my comment section was the fact that when she said that, Call of Duties would still be put on Game Pass, but they would be put on a year after launch, that's going to kill the entire concept of the Call of Duty vibe altogether. And I'll tell you why. Because Call of Duties are only valid of actual, popularity for the first year of launch. Now, with Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7, what Call of Duty did do is they released it day one on Game Pass. And yes, I guarantee you, so many casuals and so many Call of Duty players will say that Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 was either, a off-put, or it was a letdown, or they just weren't liking the way the game was made, so on and so forth. So those are the types of noobs and casuals that are going to say this decision is a good thing. But for any competent IQ valid person that actually has played video games for over 25 years on Xbox, everybody knows that the big money breader was Call of Duty. So you take that away, and then you try to replace it with other games of certain value. Like, for example, this year is going to be Gears of War E-Day. It's going to be the Halo 25-year anniversary remaster of campaign. Not multiplayer, people. Not multiplayer. Just campaign. So if you think Halo CE remastered is worth the buy for the actual just the campaign portion alone, more power to you. But I do not, because I do not play Halo for the campaign. I play it for the PvP. And to answer my my fan that actually pointed out, is it honestly worth owning COD anymore? I'm kind of split on that honest thought, because for the people that actually know what COD is really for the human actual health system, they understand that people do play COD for a certain reason. They might not understand what that reason is, because they're too low educated and too low IQ to understand shit. But at the same time, that value is still within Call of Duty to this very day. So, and what I was going to do is I was actually going to explain to you why Call of Duty is of value. Because it takes the actual aggression, and it takes the actual primal instinct of play, and it puts it to high 11. So because it puts it to high 11 for gamers, that's why everybody keeps coming back to Call of Duty year after year, year after year, year after year. Now, there are other games that do provide primal instinct value, but they are less of value than Call of Duty. Take this game, for example, that I'm playing, Battlefield 6. I love this game, but at the same time, when it first launched, it was broken. It was absolute crap. I beat the campaign of this game day one of release. I have over 1 million game score on this game. So if you know anybody on Battlefield 6 that has over 1 million game score, please let me know. But I highly doubt it, because I was the first one to do it and the first one done. And then to go back to my commenter's actual thought of, is it really honestly worth owning Call of Duty anymore? I still say it is, because it still takes the primal instinct out of my body every time I play it. It still takes my aggression out of my body every time I play it. And same thing goes for every first-person multiplayer shooter on the market. So there are reasons to have these types of games in Game Pass, and there are very good reasons that will make you money. But I'm just kind of saying that having a inexperienced female basically lead Xbox who's never played video games to heart in her entire life and only has a little bit above 10,000 gamer score, yeah, you can deal. You're basically being led by a casual, and that's just kind of sad. But at the same time, what's going to happen to Xbox Game Pass in the future, we will see. But as I said before, once they remove the actual game, the payment to access online play with the next generation, every reason that people still had subscribed to Game Pass is going to get wiped. So then what Asha is going to depend on is whether people want to play certain games or play certain genres over others. Now, that's a nice idea, but it ain't going to work, because people are already set in their ways and people already know what they like to play every year, and people automatically do like the high value content. So if you take the only high value content of actual content out of Game Pass, you're basically asking for a humongous decline in profit. Now, I think that's massively funny that this is being done by a chick, not a guy. So the fun factor is that because Microsoft screwed up and hired a chick, you're going to see the ultimate downfall or the ultimate resurrection of Xbox brand in general. Now, we already know that Asha is trying to basically rebrand the Xbox name into something positive, not negative, like it has been for the last couple years. We see that. But the thing is she's doing it basically based on her own thought process and her own experience and the suggestions from her team. Now, my thing is that if you have no other title on your service that is of equal value, your value of that service is going to tank. And it's going to tank hard once you take the only last remaining reason to invest in Game Pass, which is, as I said before, the online payment access. So once you remove that with the next generation open market, you're screwed. Now, I think this is massively called karma. This is called karma, everybody. This is what happens when you put the inexperienced in an experienced position, and it will show with the result. Now, like I said before, there might be certain titles that are coming down the pipeline that we do not know about that will make Game Pass even more value, but I doubt it, because I already am quite aware of what the games will actually be in the next 2 years alone. So I can guarantee you that if you do not invest in equal titles, you will see a decline in your profit service no matter what you do. Now, the funny part will be, and this is kind of where I make a prediction, is if, they do not remove the payment access and just, as she just did, make the Game Pass access a little bit more affordable, then you will have a win. But I highly doubt that, because open platforms are not allowed to restrict online access. So I think that is going to be the road they're heading down. So I think she's trying to prepare for what will happen when they remove that incentive for subscribers to actually even pick up Game Pass. And then, boom, the only thing that will be their incentive is the games that they are offering. But as I said before, no game coming out in the next 2 years will be of equal value. So I have a really good feeling that I'm right, and that this entire service model will get reworked into something better and into something more sustainable. How she's gonna do that, though, could go a whole bunch of different directions, but I'm pretty sure that I am right that she is gonna make tiers of genres more, more appealing than basically having the online access tier only to basically be the reason to subscribe. Now, I think that's going to be kind of interesting, and at the same time, I think people, are taking this a little out of proportion, but they're not taking it, to the proportion that, it should be talked about, because I think this is mad funny. But at the same time, my friend also said, what is the worth of owning COD? And I've been paying full price for Call of Duties since it was even created in 2003. So trust me, I have no issue in spending money. And again, if you do not have a valid income in your life, and you do not have a sustainable income in your life, you should not be playing video games, period. I don't care if you're on console, I don't care if you're on PC, I don't care if you're even on mobile. If you cannot afford your hobby, don't start the hobby. That's how that works. So I really think that this next step for Microsoft is going to be a kind of a, how do I say this? Kind of like an eye-opener. So when we see what really Microsoft intends to do for the future, a lot of us will either be yay or nay. And that is just the way it's going to be. But anyway, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Give it a like, give it a view. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I'll catch you guys later. Later.